Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Journey and Wander, episode 2, season 2. We're back this week. We've got both of the hosts of Triple Threat with us. We interviewed Allison of Wojtowecz last week. Was that correct? Allison Wojtowecz. Is that right?
Wojtowecz.
All right. Well, whatever. Well, we had that interview last week, and how are you feeling about it?
I thought we had a great conversation, and I'm excited to introduce everyone to the person I brought up last weekend.
Yeah, I know. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little scared being in the same call as both of you again. It wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, before we started recording, it wasn't too awful, right?
Oh no, we're good. I'm just afraid you guys are gonna be mean to me. And
we discussed that last week, though. You definitely were like, "I'm gonna be a punching bag for this." So you
yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna do for this though. We'll see. I guess I'll do the same thing. But yeah, let's this is kind of a speed round episode. So we're gonna go ahead and introduce our main guest, Ken Hamlett, this week. The big host of Triple Threat. How are you doing, Ken?
I'm good. How you doing?
Not bad at all. You ready to
All the plug?
Expose your soul to us?
Yeah, man. I'm ready.
Ken, are you at work right
Can
now?
I borrow your charger?
Ken's phone is about to die.
Can I just use this so I can? And I'll be right up in the hallway. Oh, I need the plug too.
Getting their charger.
All right. So this is our guest. He came very prepared.
Mr. Big Time over here. He can't even.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's a great intro for me, right? That's about how I live my life, just always scrambling. So.
Well, at least you have decent data. Scrambling isn't bad when you've got decent data.
Yeah, your internet looks better than mine.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was about to say, especially the video. Like, I mean, your audio is good, but yeah, the video freezes sometimes. Ken's is smooth.
Thanks, guys. You know, that's good old T-Mobile right there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know. I think T-Mobile sucks here. Verizon's the best we got, but we're out in Oregon. We just got running power like a week ago. But, yeah, you ever play the Oregon Trail video game?
I mean, what kind of 90s baby would I be if I haven't played the Oregon Trail video game?
Yeah. We just got over dysentery in my town. and yeah. But anyways, let's I think we're just gonna jump right into it because we're on a bit of a time crunch today, but we'll still get deep into it. So let's start with the first question here. What is your journey? And by this, I guess I mean, like, what is the meaning of your existence summed up? Like, what are you constantly chasing in everything you do?
And everything I do. So, like, even when I, like, jerk off, I'm thinking like that.
Yeah, like, you know, to jerk off because you got to relax to do blank. Or, you know.
All right. Yeah. And everything I do, I think the main thing is like, I think about like all the work that I do, all of it's like to please people, I guess. Like comedy is like to make people laugh. I do like social work, so it's like all about like providing a better quality of life for people. And you know, I consider myself the best thing ever. So like me providing myself to other people.
Wow, I can't wait to get into this one. You're the first person on here with a self-esteem. I can't wait.
No, I kid. I think my purpose in life is like I love comedy. I feel like that's the reason why I was put on this planet, was like to do comedy, everything about it, and being like a awesome dad. I love. At first, it was like really weird being a dad, but now I'm like in love with being a dad. But that sounds awful to say.
Yeah, was that so that wasn't always like your main goal, being a
What, to be a
dad?
dad? No. Well, actually, it's a weird thing to talk about because I never saw myself being married. I always just saw myself having a kid. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, I don't know how that came to be, but you know, I got the marriage now too. So
Wait, so you have a son or a daughter?
I have a son. I have a son.
How is that?
It's pretty dope. It's crazy because he's 2, and so like he just turned 2, and so like this is when like all the crazy developmental milestones start happening.
Oh
So
yeah.
uh,
That's
it's been pretty cool.
interesting. Are you starting to like see yourself in him?
No, not at all.
Really?
Not, not at all. Just some of my personality for sure. Like he's real laid back. I'm like a real chill person, and nothing really bothers me. And I see that part, but like everything else, he's like his own personality. I'm like, all right, maybe he's not my kid. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, that is interesting though. So it wasn't always part. How do you think it has it changed your comedy at all? Did you become one of those comedians constantly talking about their kid?
No, I have like 2 jokes, maybe 1 joke actually about my son. Otherwise, it's like pretty much to say like I don't know, my comedy is just like all based off of my life experiences. So it hasn't really changed that much, but it has like inspired me and like driven me to work harder.
Okay.
Because now it's like I'm not just doing this for like myself. It's like I want to do like now the point of doing comedy is to like not have to go to a day job, so I can be home Monday through Thursday and then be on the road Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like that sort of thing. So I get to be home more often than working a 9 to 5. You like barely see your family, so definitely changed that.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm sure being, how has the whole COVID stuff affected, your comedy? We were talking a little bit about it before we started recording, but like, in basically, how have you been doing it? Just doing online stuff pretty much?
Man, COVID. So March 4th, March 4th or 3rd, March 3rd, I quit my job and went full-time comedy. And then I had a weekend up in Tacoma, Washington. It was like my hometown. It was my birthday weekend. I did some shows and I auditioned for Nate Jackson's club. And then I come back and COVID is like happening. Like it's when it's like really spreading and stuff. And then I had a weekend in Ohio, and my weekend in Ohio I canceled. And then after that, I had to completely cancel my the rest of my calendar. So that sucked. Yeah, so I lost a lot of gigs.
Oh,
and then
man.
I got yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel that. I was like just really starting to ramp up on my schedule, and then just everything happened. It sucked. Looks like we lost our co-host.
Well, hi. My video literally just dropped. I don't know what happened.
Allison, you got to get closer to the McDonald's.
I know. I really need to move.
She's just feeding off of whatever business across the street. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, so if you want to tune into Triple Threat, everybody, they they always got good video. But anyways, I don't know. COVID, like, I don't know. It was cool to have a break, like a nice little break from like everything because I wasn't working or anything. And it just felt nice in that aspect because I felt like I was burning the candle at both ends. And then, and now I was like, I jumped back into it and I like getting back into life. I was just like, all right, I'm going to go about it with a more relaxed approach. Like 2 weeks in, I'm just like, oh, I'm fucking exhausted. I'm like, I'm doing way too much.
Yeah,
but
I've definitely feel that, man. I was like burning the candle at both ends. And I mean, the break from comedy has been kind of nice. I've still done like a little bit of traveling, a little bit of shows. So I feel like I haven't lost too much of a step, but the like just having a good break from comedy and just relaxing has been nice.
Yeah. I mean, you're one of those names that you hear a lot around. We're got some video difficulties here, but
I'm so sorry.
Hey, for the people just listening, this is not a bad podcast. So
Allison's just a bad co-host.
Yeah,
Ken can attest.
But basically, like, I hear your name a lot around the scene, all kinds of scenes. Like, you go anywhere, and I feel like I hear Ken Hamlett, and everybody kind of knows you as like a hard worker. Like you kind of, nose to the grindstone all the time, or just constantly getting whatever work you could get. So. Yeah, I don't know. It's how do you feel that relaxation changed your I guess your idea of your goal?
Man, it's like shaped a lot because now I kind of was starting to hate like touring, like being gone every weekend, and that like it just kind of sucked because I just it was not fun being like working Monday through like Thursday or Monday through Friday and then getting on the road and spend all the time away from home. And like, just, yeah, it was not super fun. And so now I'm like starting to produce. The plan is to produce more in Chicago and tour less. At least I say that now, and then gigs will start coming in and I'll go back to just being gone all the time. So I like being home more often. So I think that's kind of like the goal a little bit more this next year. Possibly the next 2 years is spend more time in Chicago and tour a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, I wish you luck. My goal was to be getting a healthy amount of sleep, and I did not follow through because I was like getting 10 hours of sleep during quarantine, and I was like, man, this feels really good. I feel really clear. I should really focus on getting sleep. And then I came back to everything, and I just haven't been at all.
10 hours? That's way too much sleep, dude. That's
well,
like
I
double.
know that's like that is way. But I mean, what else are you supposed to do? I was just at home all day doing nothing but like going on in the meme time once every month.
Did you turn into a recurring character on there?
I haven't been on there in a while. I think I've only been on there like 2 times, maybe 3 times, but that was just to emphasize how little I was doing during.
Ken and I met on that show.
Oh yeah, that's how I met the network. I guess I met Carter in Austin when I was down there, but yeah, that's how I got this show, was doing in the meme time and then his Geeked Out show or whatever. So yeah, that's but yeah, let's move on to the next question. Dig a little bit deeper into this. So what inspired your journey? What inspired you to get going into comedy and whatnot? And basically just, yeah, like, you talked a little bit about, wanting to please people and stuff. And like, I guess what sparked that for you?
Comedy specifically, I was at the Western Oregon, and I was like a plus team member, which is like a peer mentor kind of thing. We're like the hype squad for new student week.
Oh, I went to Western Oregon too. That's interesting.
Really?
When did you go there?
Like 2012 to 2015, 16.
Oh, that's interesting. I started going there in 2016, fall of 2016, and then and then I left in like it was probably spring of 2017. I wasn't there
Damn.
very long, but
Yeah, it's not
I
a long
did-
time at all, man.
yeah, I know. I didn't go to school. I left school to do comedy, but like just go at it full time because I don't know.
Hell
I
yeah.
don't like. I don't. I'm not responsible. But
I respect that, dude. That's fucking that's ballsy as shit.
well, I don't know. I didn't. I respected the craft before I ever did it, and I just wanted to be able to give everything I could to it. So, and I felt like I had to leave in order to kind of
So
do
you-
that. So,
So you moved to Bend, Oregon.
well, this is my hometown.
Okay.
But I mean, I feel like for 2 years in, I've been progressing quite a bit. It's like has everything you need up to this point. Like it also just had access to way more stage time, which is nice that
Yeah.
I've gotten. I've been able to do like 30s and 20s like way before I should have, but it just made me like grow into it. So.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of help. But so back to where you started though. What was your bridge from Western Oregon to stand up?
Yeah, so I was a Plus team member. We were planning like a comedy night during New Student Week, and Arvin Mitchell was there. It was my first time watching live stand up, and I just was hanging out with Arvin Mitchell afterwards, and I was like, man, I've always kind of liked stand up. I kind of see myself doing it, and he was like, man, you should definitely do it. And then he was just like, yeah, just freaking do it, dude. And so we had like a new student like talent competition type thing, and I did comedy then. So like 2 weeks from that day I did comedy, and actually it was 3 weeks. I hosted a talent show 2 weeks in, and then a week later I did actual stand-up in front of like 600 plus students for the first time. It was absolutely insane, and I did like 12 minutes. So
How do you think you did?
I did really well, but it was also like playing t-ball because I was super popular on campus, and everybody like really liked me. So it was easy to get laughs because everybody liked me.
Right,
the jokes
right.
are actually pretty good. The jokes are good, but I definitely shouldn't have done that well for the first time on stage. And so that was it. Like after that, I was like, it was like doing heroin, man. So
Oh yeah.
do
Well,
this.
dude, I totally forgot that high over COVID, and then I went back for the first time, and I like caught it and was just like, oh damn, it's a real drug like that.
Yeah.
It's a real high that like is, I don't know, like I couldn't help but like just chase it as much as possible the first time I did it. But
Yes, man.
I mean, the first time I did it was like 3 minutes, not 12.
I thought it was 5 minutes. Like I like talked it out, you know what I mean? Like practice.
Oh yeah.
And it always taped out to like 5-6 minutes. But when people laugh and you talk slower on stage because you're a little bit nervous or whatever, or like feeling it, there was like it was way longer. It was literally 11 minutes and 54 seconds. And I was like, and then like looking back on it now, that was like so much time for the first time on stage. Like,
Yeah.
way too much time.
What do you think was in you that made you want to do stand up? Like when you had said that stand up is something you want to do. Like what do you think? What part of you was chasing it at that time? You think?
I think it was just there wasn't really like much that like was I wasn't like this like one of the people that are like, oh, I've always wanted to be a stand-up. There's nothing else that I've wanted. I was like fucking having fun and like hanging out with people and I just hanging out with Arvin Mitchell and I was like, man, I remember I used to watch at that point I used to watch a lot of stand-up. And it wasn't like something where I was like, this is an occupation that I could do. It was just like I like stand-up comedy. I really love watching it, like laughing, all that kind of stuff. And so then I was talking to him and he was just like, do it. Then I was
Yeah. Watching it live definitely makes it seem more achievable, I feel like, than, hear stand up and it's all just like people, you know, famous people who do other things. And I always assumed it's like, oh yeah, they're famous people that do other things and then just do stand up, you know, or like I never really even thought of how they started. But I think for me, it was like when, like, you know, you started listening to podcasts and hearing them talk about how they started stand up and whatnot. And that made me go like, oh, okay, anybody can just start doing stand up, you know? And so that's kind of when I started to think about doing it. But yeah, it's interesting when you make that leap to because like I had always thought it was just like a completely, I don't know, like it's just for some people, you know, but like not for, you know, not anybody can just do it. But I think way more people could do it than they think. But
yeah, now I always tell everybody to do it. Like if somebody's like, I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, dude, everybody should do stand up. It's freaking.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's like freaking drinking, man. Everybody should drink.
Oh yeah, it's like do it. Yeah, I think. I think it's better than like karaoke for getting, you know, having a couple drinks and going in front of people. It's like do stand up. I think it's way better. Like, but yeah.
You should start a stand up karaoke bar.
I think I've actually been to one.
What?
Like, I think a couple of them actually.
There's a show in Portland that's a stand-up karaoke show.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's I did that one. There's also I think it's a karaoke bar in Vancouver that does stand up, but they do stand up and karaoke like the same night. So I don't know. Yeah. It exists. But yeah, let's move on to the next question here. The speed round episode. How did you start your journey? Like, so when, I guess we kind of got into that a bit where, you know, you started, I guess, let's get into how you went from your first performance to getting into it more consistently. How did that begin?
Yeah. So after that, there's actually this dude, Barsh, I used to kick it with him all the time. He was a musician and he found like an open mic where they do like music and comedy. And it was like, dude, we got to go to this open mic. It was at the Triangle Lounge in Salem, Oregon. And I went to that like 2 weeks later. He chickened out. We went together. He didn't perform, but then I did stand up there and they gave you like 15 minutes. So everybody got 15 minutes.
Damn.
It's so bad. Like thinking about it now, I'm like, people don't need 15 minutes, dude.
Yeah, yeah. It's like so for an open mic, that's just an absurd amount of time, especially if they don't know what they're doing. Like,
oh man, and most of them didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Were there one of those people who would like stand up there and be like 5 minutes in and go, I guess I can just like hang out here and like riff on some stuff. Let's work on some crowd work. Like,
yeah. What do you guys want me to talk about?
I hate I hate every time somebody's just like, I guess crowd work. Where do you work? And it doesn't matter what they say. They're just like, okay. And then they're always like, what do you do this? It's just like, it's the most awkward. I hate open micers trying crowd work. It's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. So I did that basically.
Damn.
So when I started, I was like, oh, you got to do 15, like you got to write 15 minutes, and it was every week. And so I was going consistently every week, and I would write a new 15 every week.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was the best like experience. Like probably a third of it was like even useful. Spent time on stage, but like it was just like a good writing exercise. Like, and I wasn't even treating it like a writing exercise. It's just I'm so excited to do comedy. So everything that happens, I'm like, oh, I can talk about that. I can talk about that. I can talk about that. So my first like 7 months probably, I never repeated jokes. I just kept going and coming up with new stuff every single time. And then I was talking to somebody and they're like, dude, how are you ever going to come up with like a set if you don't repeat jokes?
Yeah. I mean, I only have like 45 minutes tops, and it's like I just because I just tell the same stuff over and over again, and I just tell it differently every time until I find like the perfect way to tell it. But it amazes me when people could just keep writing and writing and writing and like just new shit all the time. And it's just like
no, not anymore.
Yeah. Do you like? Because I feel like mine like just needs some time like to sit on the vine a bit. Like I come up with an idea and I need to tell it like a few times before it becomes like a good joke. You know what I mean? Or like a finished thing.
Yeah. I like writing. That's how I do most of my stuff. I don't ever, like at first I was writing out everything, like every word mattered. And then I stopped doing that way early on. And I just started writing down like a thought. And I would, not even like a full thought. It would just be like, all right, sandwich bags for weed. And then you're just like, kind of figure out the concept of whatever that joke was that I was writing, like that concept, and figure it out on stage. And that's how I am now. Like I never write out jokes all the way. I'll just like, oh, that was a funny experience. I'll talk about that. Like something happened with my god brother. He said something about his I probably shouldn't even talk about that, so I'm not going to, but like some real intimate shit.
I do love I don't know why it is a niche kind of humor is when people talk about things they've gotten weed in. Like just like weird things people, but I think it was a local comic, I can't remember who, but I just remember the line like, yeah, and it was in one of those plastic sandwich baggies without the zipper, that kind only your mom can fold. It's like, and like that, I love that imagery. This is like, but I don't know, because it's like, yeah, we've all seen it all, when it comes to buying weed. But but you say, so when you're writing, it just starts with the thought. You don't like sit down without having a thought first, though? Like, and just sit down and go, okay, I need to write something?
No, I hate when comics do that. It's not authentic.
Yeah.
Your comedy should come from experiences. That's just how I feel. I don't sit down and go, all right, today I have to write out 5 pages.
Right.
Like, people that do that, kudos to them. But like for me, I'm like, it has to be authentic. It has to be experience, something that like the way that I like think about comedy is like it has to have some kind of emotional pull for you. It has to be something that either frustrates you or something that like makes you sad. Like it has to have extreme emotions in order for it to be like a good joke on stage. Like if you're just touching things that don't matter, it's not going to be something that's good on stage. So I don't know. And I never write the shit out. Just figure it out on stage. Like I have like a pretty good barometer of what's going to be funny or what's not. Like I have an audience in my head, and if I say something in my head and they laugh, I'm like, all right, this is gonna be good. And if it's something where I'm like, it could be good. And I also don't write things down the first time either. I'm like real weird with comedy. I don't write stuff down all the time. I'll just like I'll like think of it, and then I'm like, if it's funny enough, I'll remember later. And if I remember later, I'll write it down. So.
When I come up with a joke, I'll like text it to people, or like I'll call people and tell them it and whatnot. And it's like, and I know because I do like one-liners and stuff, and it's like a laugh isn't always what you're going for with telling a dumb one-liner. And like, but I just know like when I'm excited enough about a joke to do that, then it's probably going to be something worth doing on stage. And so but like for me, I'll like sit down and go, okay, I need to write, but I never get anything out of it. But it does make me think of jokes more often just walking around or like at work or something. I'll go, oh, there's a joke. But I do that way more often when I do sit down and write. You know what I mean? Like
that's fair.
I got to like work with my relationship with the paper a bit, I guess, like my writing things down and how it seems. But I don't know.
What about you, Allison?
I always like, I agree with Cole that like if I am consistently writing, I will be looking for more stuff. But I also agree with Ken that like if I just like force myself, if I say like I have to write half an hour every day, it doesn't work. So I don't know, this sounds not as structured as I would like it to, but like I tell myself, okay, I want to write at least twice this week. and then I'm like looking for stuff, and I'll take like little bullet notes of random shit in my phone. And then when I do sit down with the paper, I'll pull up that note in my phone and be like, okay, what happened this week that I thought I could write about? And I'll like go back and kind of just run through those things and be like, was that actually funny? Yes, no. You know, is this actually worth a full story joke, or is it just more of a one-liner? Like, what is it? And figure it out from there. Yeah, with Cole, like Cole and I talked about this last week. It's like, I love that Ken is insistent that you need to be like so emotionally attached to things for it to be a good joke. Cause I kind of agree a lot of the time. And we talked about it on my episode where it's so hard for me to be actually super emotional about anything.
Yeah.
So like, it also is fun for me to like grab something that happened in my life that I know is weird or funny in some way, but then be like, okay, what are the different opinions on this? Which ones do I think I agree with? And then how do I like present this thing in an absurd way? If that makes sense. You know, like
right.
different points of view on one story and like see which one works best on stage.
Yeah, most of my jokes aren't anything serious at all. It's a bunch of silly stuff, but I try to make it stuff that people have a like connection to, and even no matter how like subtle it is, it's always like something that I feel like is a shared experience with everybody, like something that everybody can relate to, even though it's not ever really something super life-changing for me, or like it's never some crazy story about something that happened. But like, I don't know, it's I don't know if I could go the serious route and go do more of that like deeper meaning shit. Like, I just like, I don't know, I like stupid comedy. But so but yeah, Ken, so you said like you started writing 15 like minutes a week for this open mic. How long did it start to take you to get shows?
It actually took me, I say an unfair amount of time. It took me longer to get shows than I felt like it should have.
Yeah.
That scene, I want to say I was probably, for Salem, like anybody that knows Salem, there was like 15 comics in that comedy scene. So there wasn't a lot of comics. And probably out of the 15,
it's about the size of Bend, and Salem is way bigger than Bend.
Yeah, now the comedy scene is a lot larger than it was when I started.
Oh, really?
And there were, so it's grown significantly since then. But like back then, there was just no comics, and like most of them weren't even consistent. And so there's probably like a group of like 5 of them that were pretty consistently trying to do comedy, and probably like 10 or 12 that were like hit or miss. And then you might have like a couple of other guys that would pop up every once in a while or something like that. So I didn't get booked for like 9 months or something like that.
Whoa, damn.
It was like 9 months.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I was pretty pissed off about that.
Yeah. Well, it's always understandable when people, get mad at me, like being booked after like 2 months, like, because in Bend it was like, I don't know, there wasn't much of a, a bag to draw from. So it's just kind of like, oh, you're on, even though you're not going to do very well, we need somebody for the show. And then but I like getting those experiences before I was ready, because it made me have to get ready for them quicker, just out of like necessity of not wanting to bomb every time. So like, that was cool for me anyways, to not have to deal with that. I don't know if I could do a 15-minute. I don't know if I would have progressed as quickly as I did if I did 15 minutes of open mic a week and then that was it.
It makes you, for me, it made me a better comic because I was just writing, and I was already like a pretty strong comic, like starting off, and more times than not I would have good sets. I didn't bomb for like the first year and a half, like no bombs for like a year and a half, and I was writing every week. And so that's why I was like really pissed off about like never getting booked, because there would be people that would get booked on shows and they're bombing like every week, and I'm like, God dang it, why am I?
Yeah.
So a lot of it was like some jealousy type stuff, and I've talked to those comics since then, and it was like just like trying to basically like bully the new guy and like trying to make sure I stuck around and that kind of stuff. But it was just dumb. Now none of them do comedy, and I still do comedy and tour and stuff, so it's hilarious.
So you're like, anyway, fuck them. That's cool.
Yeah, I go back there like often, and I'm like selling out the club and stuff. And they're like, one of the shows there were like 3 comics in the crowd that had quit, and I was like, oh, this feels so great.
Oh.
So I'm just gonna get us on to the next section without a segue or nothing, because we are trying to go fast here. But what are some notable obstacles in your journey, and how did you overcome them?
Ooh, I'll talk about like one major L that I took. I auditioned for Kevin Hart's like Heart of the City, and I got super nervous, and I still had a pretty decent set, but I didn't get it. And that was like the last time where I was like, I'm never going to get nervous and feel underprepared for anything. Just because at that time I was like pretty cocky still in comedy, because I'm like fairly young and into the comedy game and like doing well. So I just always feel like, I don't have to really practice. I don't believe in like practicing comedy. It just the things that are just like unauthentic, I don't do. Or inauthentic. So that time I was like, oh no, I'm not, like I didn't get it, and then I was like heartbroken. I was pissed off. And then there was another time where I did the Tacoma Comedy Club, like The Voice. We call it The Voice. It's like a competition between like all the comics in pretty much Washington, like the western side of Washington. And I made it to the finals. I won the semifinal round, like it was in the bag. Like everybody thought I was going to win the competition after that. And I didn't make the top 3. And I had a fucking phenomenal set. And it was like crowd voted. And I didn't invite people because I wanted to win off of pure talent.
Oh, dude, I'm the same way. I never invite people. I never invite people to competitions when it's crowd voted. And just because it's like, I want to win off of your people. I want to be certain that your people vote for me. And
exactly,
like,
dude.
Even though that'll never happen in a million years, like, it's just like, because it's like, if you show up to somebody, it doesn't matter how good the other person is, they're going to vote for the person they showed up for, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it was at a comedy club though that seats like 280 people, and so it's like nobody like packed it out. I mean, one guy brought a lot of fucking people, but like most of the people can't pack it out. Like nobody's gonna pack it out. So I was like, I'll win I'll win crowd votes, but I didn't, and I was pissed off about that, and then that like made me mad. So those were like both like big things that happened that like made me realize I gotta work harder and like just always be undeniable.
Oh right.
So that way I can get those opportunities. So
that's right. I have the same mindset every time I have a bad set, or like every time like something doesn't happen exactly how I planned it. I always have that same thought process of I have to, work harder to be undeniable. Like those are, it's like I don't want there to be any doubts. If anybody doesn't like me, they at least acknowledge that, I did well on the crowd, and maybe I'm not their cup of tea, but like I want, where people can't say like, oh, he's a bad comic, I'm not there yet.
No, I don't.
But like, that's the same kind of thought process that goes through my head. Like, as far as my approach to comedy. So that's interesting. But would you say those are probably your biggest obstacles? Or are there no other like overlying obstacles that took you a while to overcome?
No, not really, man. I guess being lazy. It's like people give me credit for being hardworking and like hustling and stuff, but I'm like one of the most lazy comics ever. Like I don't go to mics, especially like once I started booking shows, I stopped going to mics as much as I should. And I just figure out stuff on stage. Like if I'm like got a new 5 or something like that I want to try, I'll just try it on a book show instead of going to a mic to figure it out, or like do it at a club on a weekend. And I'm like real lazy when it comes to that kind of stuff. and just like going out as much as I should. But that's like something that I obviously like now having a family and stuff, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So it's not as much of a problem, but now I take it more seriously. Cause it's like, now I'm pulling up on like 7 years. And so I'm like, all right, you gotta fucking like really be serious. I've had some like cool shit happen. So now I'm chilling. I guess that's an obstacle, having like all these goals. And like at this point, I'm like, I want to be on TV already. And I've had like some opportunities. I like audition for like some huge things and get callbacks, but then don't get the gigs and stuff like that. And I'm like, that mentality where I have to have something huge happen instead of like looking at my accomplishments that I've already had. If that's like a thing, like that.
Well, I feel like you can't sit there and just be proud of the accomplishments you already had, or you wouldn't be doing anything else, you know? Like people.
No, but it's to the point where like I don't even appreciate. It's like, all right, cool, got that. Now the next thing, like that. I don't even celebrate the accomplishments. That's like an issue.
Oh yeah.
I would say that's like a.
Yeah. I think I have a good balance. I appreciate the accomplishment the night of, or like the day of, and I go and I do whatever, and then the next day I really don't give a fuck about it at all. It's almost like a joke, you know? Like I don't like really even care the next day of like, because I don't know, I feel like, you know, and it's just, you know, I'm so early into things. It's like all my accomplishments that I've reached now were never exactly the dream, you know, but still they're like cool accomplishments along the way, I guess. So it's like, I don't know, I've never taken those like kind of things like super seriously. What about you, Allison? What do you sit and relish your achievements for a while, or do you hit the ground running the next day?
I think I've gotten better at trying to celebrate them recently.
Yeah.
So I'm probably more in the same boat as you right now with that, where it's like, okay, cool, like this moment's gonna be over soon enough. Let's go ahead and enjoy whatever it is that just happened. And you know, I've only been doing comedy for 2 years now too. I've had some really cool stuff happen, and definitely have like chosen to take a few weeks off. You know, if I have a thing where it's like, you know, a really big show that I've been working to promote and help book and produce and stuff, and then it happens and yay. And sometimes I give myself permission to chill, because I can definitely like get super obsessive with it. Like when I first started, I was going to like 12 mics a week. I was out every night. So yeah. So that is the problem, is like, I'll take a little time to celebrate, but then when I'm on again, I'm like, all right, cool. What's every mic every night of the week? Let's go. And reminding myself that like, I actually need to have life experiences to even write good shit.
Yeah. But some people can have just like one good set and they don't need to accomplish anything else. They just are like, man, but remember that one night? And it's like, you know, like there's so many people like that, which is like, it's cool. More work for the rest of us. Like, it's funny the way people approach, you know, achievements, I guess, especially when they haven't reached the, you know, their big one yet. But
I always like want to look at it too. This is gonna sound probably like gonna get me canceled, but like I always say I don't want to be booked because someone needs a female on the lineup. Like I want to be booked because people think I'm funny.
Yeah,
and that's kind of been the only, well, not only, but like the main mindset I try to go into everything with. Like I don't like getting sympathy laughs, and it's a lot easier as a female comedian to get those. You know, people ask if I get heckled on stage because I'm a girl on stage, and I'm like, actually, it's the opposite. Like, it really seems like people are scared to really do anything because you're a female on stage. So, yeah, that's always been the main thought for me, is like, I'm gonna grind like anyone else, and just because there's far fewer of me and everyone's worried about what their lineup looks like now, like I don't want that to be the reason I'm booked, you know?
Yeah. Well, I can proudly say we have not had a white male on this podcast yet. We're in season 2, And well, I mean, and it's like the guests pick the next guest, so it's not like that was on purpose. It's just funny how nobody has been inspired by a white male. Nobody's like, man, you know who means a lot to me? Tanner. But yeah, let's move on to the next question here. So where are you now? I guess if you were to, talk to yourself when you were still doing open mics in Salem and, were mad that you haven't gotten a show yet, what would you tell them? Like, where are you now? To give them comfort to keep going.
Man, all right. I would try to focus on the positive because I don't really care about a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
I've done like some of the biggest comedy festivals in the country. I did a JFL comedy festival. I've done like Out of Bounds, headline clubs at weekend, like full weekends now, and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, to me now, none of that stuff matters. But like to me, year one, that stuff would be like huge accomplishments.
Right.
So I would tell myself to like, don't worry about, like, don't sweat the small stuff and just like, it'll all come when it comes. So and that's what I try to tell myself now too. It's like, it'll come when it comes. Like, maybe I don't have the TV credit yet. Maybe if I would have got it when I auditioned, maybe that wouldn't have been the time to get it. Yeah. Would have made me comfortable with my stuff and not like strive to be better. So that's like, tell myself like, look, you've done some cool stuff. So it's gonna keep changing and keep growing and keep accomplishing more and more things.
Nice. Yeah. Do you like when it comes to like, I guess comedy in general, do you feel like you have more like momentum now, I guess, even without the whole COVID stuff? But if everything was opened back up, do you think you'd have like a lot more momentum than you had when you first started? Or do you think you've kind of slowed down your work process? Like you don't have to do as much to achieve as much anymore?
I think that just looking at my comedy career from the beginning to now, like it's been like a pretty like decent upward trajectory. Like my comedy's gotten better every year, but I also am like a type of person where some people are just like aiming to write a 30 and like try to get to an hour as fast as possible. I don't. I take like my 30 and then I chip off 5 minutes every year. Like if the more time I can chip off, the better, because that means that the jokes that I'm putting into my 30 are better. And so,
right.
And then when I'm doing like an hour, then I add like old stuff that I haven't done in a while. But it's always like, for me, the goal is to always come up with the tightest, most perfect, like biggest laughs, most laughs per second or per minute.
I was like, per second, Jesus Christ. I'm at like 5 laughs a second. I don't know what to tell you guys. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I try to like make sure now at this point, I'm like, every 5 to 10 seconds, you should be getting some sort of laugh. Like 15 seconds, you definitely should get a big laugh. And so it's, like the trajectory is definitely there, like upward mobility.
Do you like I'll sit there with comics that I like, because I do one-liner comedy. I'll listen to a bunch of one-liner comics with a timer and count how many laughs per second each of them get. And you know what's crazy is like most professional comics average at about like 6 to 7 laughs a minute. I noticed Anthony Jeselnik can get away with 2 laughs a minute. And sometimes 3 on a good one, and nobody even notices. Like,
and he's a one-liner comic.
Yeah. How some people could just get away with that. I don't know. It's nuts. I guess that it all just has to do with, I guess, what you're talking about and how long it takes people to think about shit. But
so the woman that I opened for her tour last year, she literally got so obsessive when she was writing this hour that she created a spreadsheet where she like did that. She basically watched as many specials as possible, timed the laughs, put that in. But she also was like looking at other things like the type of comedy that was being done, storytelling, one-liner, something else. She looked at the way a person spoke, like as far as cadence and in voice inflection and making noises and, you know, getting loud and quiet and like all this stupid shit. And she said basically what you did, like the common correlation for successful comedians is it's typically like a laugh every 8 seconds, I think, which factors out to about 8 laughs per minute. And then she said the other biggest determining thing is just how much their speaking pattern changes. So it could be anything from raising and lowering the voice. It could be making a noise. It could be speeding up, slowing down. But like she said, there's like a certain thing where the more you're able to change the way you present things on stage, the more likely you are to be successful because it keeps people's attention.
Yeah, it's like I remember in a Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee episode, Jerry Seinfeld had Jim Gaffigan on, and he was like, there's this weird thing with your voice where it sounds high and low at the same time. Like,
that's true though.
yeah. And I feel like that definitely has a lot to do with it. But let's see. Let's just move on to the last question. No segues or nothing. Who is somebody that you're grateful for being in your journey? Who are we having on next week?
So someone who was like huge to me in the Northwest comedy scene, which I'm still very, very close with. I still, anytime I have an opportunity to like give a name up or somebody in the Northwest, anytime I try to be involved with something. One of the main reasons why I come back to the Northwest every year is for the Northwest Black Comedy Festival, which is put on by Courtenay and Tyrone Collins. The Real Hijinks, very, very funny guy. He produced a lot of stuff. And just as far as like the producing side, the production side, I got a lot of stuff from them starting off early, and they did like radio. And so like kind of inspired me to do a lot of different things that I've done. They were like big, like huge, like Tyrone was like a freaking big brother in comedy to me. Like him and Lance Edward, they're both like big brothers to me in comedy. So like a lot of my early success, they were like the first people to put me on showcases. Actually, I got on shows out in Portland before I got on shows in Salem because of them.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so they're like huge inspiration.
I opened for him in Bend. And then he asked me to open for him in Redmond the next night. And then I did a show for him somewhere in Portland. And yeah, he's a really cool guy. I definitely like talking comedy with him and stuff. And, like there's a lot of bad producers and a lot of good producers to work with. And he's definitely one of the better ones as far as, just putting on a good show. So I'm excited to have him on. I haven't talked to him since then. I haven't talked to him probably like over a year. So yeah, I'm excited. But yeah, and then you also said Lance Edward. We tried to have him on last season, and he just had some technical difficulties and went off the radar in mid.
That sounds like a Lance thing.
Yeah. I think he was Carter Anderson's pick too. So. Seems like a pretty influential guy.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm looking forward to that. And you'll be here as the co-host on that. And I think we'll call that a wrap. Thanks for coming on. That was a good episode. Thank you, Allison, for being co-host. And we'll see you guys next week with Tyrone Collins, The Real Hijinks, on episode 3, season 2 of Journey and Wander. This was episode 2, season 2 of Journey and Wander. Thank you guys very much. Have a good week.